Are you telling me our intro isn't the thing you're constantly listening to on a loop?
It is, but I still have to find it, you know?
That's fair. Got my passport. Do a little untranslatable Tai Chi. Get ready for the episode, Jared. That's right. When you take it to the four chord, you got to go forward a little bit. That's how you dance in the club, people. This is how you do it. Ooh, that was smooth right there, Jared. That was smooth. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here today to talk about some of the most powerful passports, meaning some passports that can get you into the highest amount of countries. And I also am planning on talking about, if you are curious on ways to get one of these other passports, some ways to do it. Fair disclaimer, though, we are not your legal passport consultants, and this is no legal advice, but just some tips on some ways, if you are considering getting another passport at some point in the future, how you could go about doing that. And my man with a plan, my sidekick, my co-host, will be helping us out today. So without further ado, my good buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. As a fan of the Bourne series, you know, Jason Bourne series, Identity, Supremacy, these movies, I'm a big fan of that multiple passport life. You know, he was in there beating people up in newspapers and shit, and you know, driving cars down steps and stuff. But really, I loved it when he would, you know, be like in his little shitty apartment, scrolling through like 4 passports and like pick one and slide it into.
Whip out his black duffel bag or whatever with like a couple stacks of bills and a couple passports,
like 2 guns.
Yep. Probably with the serial number sawed off of them. Yeah,
exactly. And he's like, which passport am I going to pick today? For some reason, that was always I was like, oh, that's cool. That's how you know you made it. So I want to know how to get some of these tips. Maybe we'll tell you some more tips if you follow us on social media, Untranslatable Podcast.
Good point.
Oh, geez.
Spread a little love.
Untranslatable Podcast on Instagram, Untranslatable1, the number 1 on Twitter. 5-star views, please,
absolutely.
On iTunes and Stitcher would be greatly appreciated. For those who are asking, yes, the deal with Spotify is still in the works. You know, we just keep asking for more money, and they just keep delivering. So we're going to see how far we can take it.
Exactly.
You know, we were talking last episode about how I called it. And I did call it. Trump got suspended from Twitter within a week, within the first week of January. That was pretty impressive. I forgot that I called it twice. Before, actually, theoretically, that was the second call it was of the year. Was the permanent suspension, as they call it. I don't know why they don't just say banned. It's always a permanent suspension.
Right. Different words, same thing.
So I called that, but before that happened, one of his final tweets called another one of my predictions for 2021. 2 for 2, and we're a week and 3 days into this thing.
And what was that prediction, Jared?
He tweeted that he is not going to the inauguration.
Which does not surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me either, but I called it, you know, so just needed to make that clear. I did call it. And it's shocking. Now, I don't even remember any of my other predictions, but I think two for however many I predicted is good enough, so I'll just leave it there.
Well, you know what, though, Jared? We're only 1 month into 21 right now.
I know.
You got any other predictions for the upcoming year?
Well, I mentioned that we haven't seen the last of the maggots. You know, the Ku Klux Klan has failed once, but that doesn't mean that they're not returning for vengeance. You know, so I do think that we still have to keep an eye out for that. I'm kind of concerned about what the future will bring of that.
Right. That's why I got my passport right here, Jared.
COVID certainly not. Oh, I didn't even. For some reason, I'm so used to having backgrounds. I didn't even recognize this one this time. That is perfect. That map kind of reminds me of like elementary school specifically, or something like that, like the globes that we used to have. That actually makes me want to know. This is regarding passport power. I'm interested to see how COVID affects passport power in the
Significantly.
in the long term.
Very significantly. And we'll take a look at that later today, Jared. So
Okay.
stay tuned.
Okay.
Hold on to your seats, everybody.
Yeah. Well, do you want to
Spread a little
I'm sure you
love.
have some
I
love to
do.
spread. I do too, by the way. But please go ahead.
Nice. All right. I want to try a slightly different method this time, Jared. Since we are zooming and vrooming, as they say, that's what the cool kids say, Jared. I'm actually going to share my screen here again. And
Okay.
this is actually a great little story from M Live, which is a very popular. Can you see it okay, Jared?
Yeah.
M Live, which is a news station here in Michigan, and a University of Michigan students start free online tutoring service for low-income families. And there's like a little sign here that looks like it was posted on a tree. Free virtual tutoring, all grades. Here, I'm too old to read this without getting really close. There we go, Jared. There we go. All grades, University of Michigan student providing free virtual tutoring for students who need assistance in math, reading, writing, biology, chemistry, physics, and SAT, ACT prep via Zoom or Skype. So the University of Michigan student Alina Bardwell posted flyers advertising free virtual tutoring for low-income families in the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti areas. So I think this is an absolutely fantastic story. That this university student is offering free tutoring. I do have some questions, though. Like, number one, I wonder how many students does she have, and how can she manage that time-wise with also being a college student? You know,
How
I'm
about
just
you
trying
read
to be
more to the
realistic
article
here.
besides just the little byline,
Okay,
give us some more
maybe.
information on Alina Bardwell.
Well, here. So that's when she got the idea of becoming an online tutor.
You skipped the first paragraph. Just read it. I feel like this
Ann Arbor, Michigan. Alina Bardwell wanted to get involved with volunteering over the summer, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, in-person volunteering was largely impossible. Very, very true. That's when she got the idea of becoming an online tutor. Now she and more than a dozen, so it's not just her. Okay, that makes more sense. She and more than a dozen other U of M students have created My Tutor, a free online tutoring service that helps K-12 students in low-income families get help with their schoolwork. As schools transition to online platforms, Bardwell realized that now is the time to help students keep up with school, especially for low-income families who might not be able to comfortably afford typical tutoring rates. And I think, Jared, tutoring rates, depending on the tutor, can be anywhere from 15 to 30, even more per hour, which for some families, if you have a couple kids, that can get really expensive really fast.
Especially during the pandemic when jobs have been lost, too. That's certainly not helping.
Right. Well, and also, how will you do the tutoring? Really Zoom or Skype is really the only safe way to really do that,
Right.
So here's a quote from Bardwell. We all know that lower income families have been hit harder than anyone by the pandemic. Some have lost their jobs. Some have been forced to quit in order to help kids with school. Many are essential workers working long hours and cannot be home to help their kids with school. We want to give back in the best, safest way we can by helping kids perform better in school for free. Bardwell drove around Ypsilanti over the summer and hung up posters with her contact info and promoting free virtual tutoring. One family contacted her in August and asked for help. Since then, she's been tutoring their child twice a week and formed a personal connection with the family. After finding another family in need, she asked her friend, Johanna Bozic, a U of M sophomore from Chicago, to tutor them, and the two talked over winter break about expanding the program. While just looking at the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, originally, that doesn't make sense, but anyways, the duo found that online tutoring was a need for the Metro Detroit area as virtual learning continued throughout the fall and into 2021. And it's going to continue. It's not like this virtual tutoring, we still need, I'm sure there's plenty of children who still need help and assistance.
Oh, for sure.
And
I've heard that, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure it's still a problem, but like teachers in general, that's a challenge for teachers is like making sure kids are showing up to the virtual learning. And like it's now it's sometimes it's easy for them to just like not show up, and you're just like, I don't really know where this person is, and then there was a story that I think maybe I read on here at the beginning of this thing where like this one teacher she was like putting in all this effort to find her students. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
it's I can tell you, man, as someone who taught an English class with 200 students in it. I really had no way of making sure all of them were constantly paying attention all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Their cameras are off. They're silent. I would call on them and ask questions as much as I could. But
how do you call on them if their cameras off? Do you just have like the list of names?
I have the list. Yeah. Oh, I've got a list. I'm checking it twice.
They're all in one classroom, right? You're the only virtual one.
Yes.
So
well, it depends. A lot of the freshmen, if it was in the morning, a lot of them would stay in the dorms because most of them were. A lot of them lived together, so they were all taking the same class, so they just stayed in their dorm rooms.
See, if they're okay, I'd understand
the internet
how
was actually better in the dorm rooms as well, which was another reason why.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they told you.
No, that's also what one of my colleagues said, who's a teacher there. So, but yeah, I was a little skeptical, but it was also my grad students who told me first.
Right. It's not
and the grad students aren't as they don't play as many pranks as some of the freshmen
graders.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
that's
but anything.
Like, Jared, that's like when teachers or students on Zoom tell their teachers hit, what was it, like Control F4 or whatever, Control F4 closes out of the, they leave the Zoom meeting or whatever.
Yeah, Alt F4, I believe, is what you're talking about, is what it is.
Oh, man.
So my shout out is kind of sad, actually, but I'm surprised that this happens as much as it does. And this, by the way, comes out on we're recording this on Sunday, so I don't actually know. There may be an update by the time. But did you hear about the Indonesian jet that was carrying 62 people that just went missing yesterday?
No.
So a jet carrying 62 people lost contact with air traffic controllers minutes after taking off from Indonesia's capital on a domestic flight on Saturday, and debris found by fishermen was being examined to see if it was from the missing plane, officials said. Transportation Minister Budi Kurya Sumadi said Sriwijaya Air's flight SJ-182 was delayed for an hour before it took off. At 2:36, the Boeing 737-500 disappeared from radar 4 minutes later after the pilot contacted air control to ascend to an altitude of 29,000 feet, he said. The airline said in a statement that the plane was on an estimated 90-minute flight from Jakarta to Pontianak, the capital of West Kalimantan province on Indonesia's Borneo Island. The plane was carrying 50 passengers and 12 crew, and all Indonesian nationals, excluding 6 extra crew from another trip. I find it so. I hope they find it. It's just wild how often planes just go like missing. Like I understand water is vast. I don't know how vast it is actually there when you go from like an island to island. I imagine it's vast enough where you can lose a plane, but it's just it's scary that can happen, and it happens. I'm not gonna say commonly, but I've heard multiple stories of it over the past years. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, I think what's scary is that it's still happening today. With all the technology we have, it's scary that it still happens.
Exactly. I feel like it falling out of the sky might be one thing. Like that, or maybe we could wrap our head around that.
Happen.
But around that, even though it's obviously still terrible. But the disappearing one is wild.
Yeah, well, it's like that one flight years back from Malaysia, right? That they never found it, right?
I think they eventually did, but like years later. Okay. I think they eventually did, because I actually just brought that up with a friend the other day, and I think he said that they did find it later, but it did take like a very long time, and there was a time where I think it felt like they all just assumed like, well, that's that.
Right. Hearing that stuff is terrifying. I was watching, it was on like National Geographic or something the other day, where they documented this plane crash. I don't know if it was in Indonesia or where it was, but what happened was what was it? was it a Boeing 747? I don't remember what type of plane it was, but it was a plane known for having an issue with like one of the rear like flight fins. That's not the correct flight term, obviously, but like, on the back of a plane like that, the tail.
The tail.
And it has the
tail
things,
fin, is that what they call it?
Maybe, I don't know. But I guess it broke or something, which caused the plane to like abruptly turn and then just go straight down. And the plane crashed. And the plane crashed, I think, a couple hours before landing where it was supposed to land.
Wow.
It's just crazy when you hear stories like that.
Did you hear that, okay. By the way, speaking of plane crashes, the 737 MAX has been verified again certified again for flight. So they're back out there.
Uh-oh. But I think that might have been the plane that was...
No, that one... Well, that was a computer thing. The 737 was... it had like this... I think it had something to do with like it had like a self-leveling system. But it would... but there was some glitch where it thought it was going up, I believe. So it kept trying to, quote-unquote correct and push downward. I believe it was a computer thing, not like a mechanical part.
Right. That makes sense.
Anyway,
okay.
Do you have another shout out? Maybe one more positive, like the first one?
Well, I don't know if I would call this I guess I would. I'll call this a shout out. I can make this into a shout out. Okay. So, Jared, do you remember a question we asked earlier on in the pandemic? I think it was maybe shortly after I'd returned from China, and we were talking about wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what question we asked?
What question we asked, just rhetorically?
I guess we talked about, yeah.
Would masks become normal for like an extended period of time?
No. The question
the effectiveness of masks, like N95 and stuff.
Also,
I'm trying to think what mask
kind of. You're getting warmer. The question was what or will wearing masks cause a drop in flu cases?
Mm.
And it turns out we're far enough in the flu season now. It turns out that people working from home, wearing masks, doing a lot of these things has also dropped flu significantly so far this year.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I wish, and I'm sure it's not going to happen, but I wish this would, at the very least, I don't expect that we're going to be wearing masks forever, but at the very least, people would think there wouldn't be such like a stigma to wearing a mask when you go to the store. Like if you have like a cold or something like that.
I agree.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But I wish it would.
Right. Maybe one day. Who knows? But
not in the. Anyway, I don't think it's going to happen in the U.S. anytime soon.
Right. Well, that shout out though goes out to all the people out there taking proper precautions, being safe.
Yeah.
Staying masked up when you need to be. Seems like it's been working. So
yeah.
Keep up the good work.
I mean, I certainly have not been sick at all this year, but it's because I haven't done anything.
Better knock on some wood there, Jared.
I know.
Knock on some wood.
I just jinxed myself for no reason.
Right. Yeah, I haven't gotten really sick this year either, to be honest. But you know what else will keep you healthy and sharp, Jared, are those
keep your mind.
Tried and true untranslatables, which are idioms, proverbs, axioms, sayings, phrases that don't always make complete sense when we try to translate them into English. So we, your certified untranslatable professionals, are here to decipher them for you. And betcha. I will get us started today, Jared, with a Japanese untranslatable. It is Mizu ni nagasu. And Mizu ni nagasu, I'm not sure actually where the word stress is there, Jared, but the phrase means let flow in the water.
Let flow in the water. Just let
flow in the water.
Just live easy, man. Let the world take you. Let the go wherever the wind blows you, man. Don't be so stressed out about every move you make.
You're getting warmer.
Don't obsess over the small things, man. Hey, man. Stay chill, bro.
No, it's more about, so say for example, Jared,
stay the course. Stay the course.
No, it's more like, so say you're doing pretty well financially with your bank account with 26.2 million there, mm-hmm. And
27.
you decided,
I had a good night last night.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry, I forgot about that.
That's how fast it happens when you're this rich.
That's true. And so you decide, you know what, I'm going to buy myself a passport for Cyprus, because with $2 million, Jared, you can buy yourself a passport and citizenship into Cyprus. Like, it's through an investment passport. A little teaser for later. But you know what, you decide, you contact your passport agent, and he tells you, sure, just wire me the two milli, no problem, and we'll get your passport sent in a couple weeks. And a couple weeks go by and you don't get your passport. And then a couple more weeks go by and you don't get your passport. And then your agent sends you a text message and he goes, hey, unfortunately, they've denied you your visa. They've been listening to this untranslatable podcast you do, and they've decided that you're just a little too crazy to be let into Cyprus. And then your visa agent says, well, you know what? I'm going to wire you back your $2 million, and let's wait for a couple weeks, and we'll try again. And you go, you know what? No, I don't want to do that. And then a couple weeks go by, and then eventually you kind of come around, and then you realize, you know what? I'm just going to let it flow in the water, and I'm going to contact my visa agent again, and we'll see what we can do.
Let it flow in the water. You're just going to, like essentially forget, not forget, but you started nodding, like forget the past and move on and try move forward.
Forgive and forget, move forward, don't hold a grudge. Just let it flow in the water, Jared. Just
I see.
Let it drift downstream.
I see. So you're going to take that burden that's been sitting in your head and you're just going to let it flow in the water.
Exactly.
Okay, it's the world's
That would be a good slogan right
mine.
there, Jared. Let it flow in the water.
Yeah, that's similar to what is it that you're? Oh, stay breezy. It's kind of a similar concept as staying
Honestly,
breezy.
the kanji characters are gorgeous for this.
Can I see?
Yeah, here, hold up. Let me pull it up and I can send it to you.
Oh yeah, then you
second
can't just show me because I'll see all your other. Well, while you're doing that, I'll give you untranslatable.
Go for it.
My first one is Catalan, which is a language that's like an offshoot of Spanish spoken in parts of Spain. And it, panza contenta. Contenta, you might be able to put
It's
that
like
together.
happy
Yes.
or content.
Yes. And then I guess the other word you'd have to figure out at this point would be panza.
Which, yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
Belly, I believe. So the untranslated...
Happy belly.
There you go.
It's just like when you're satisfied. Like everything's going good. You know, you're all good, right?
Yeah, but it's more specific than that. Sure, yeah, it is all good. But why is it... Why do you say that... Like, if I were to explain you as a happy belly, what do you not do that makes you such a happy belly? Or that I can tell. How can I tell that you're such a happy belly? Because you never do this.
You're not complaining.
There you go.
Someone who's positive. Stay positive.
Someone who never complains.
Okay.
Yeah. Or never has strong opinions, they also say.
Do you know any happy bellies, Jared?
No. I think people that I feel like I know that come off as happy bellies, it's like I feel like I don't trust it, Where it's like I feel like it's a facade. But maybe
so
that's
what you're
my
saying
own,
is you can't always be a happy belly. That's what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah, I mean life's not always granted, but you can be a happy belly because you can have problems and not complain about them,
Okay, that's fair. So
yeah.
Here, Jared, we were talking about this kanji here and what it looks like, and here that's like a calligraphy version of it, but this is the kanji right here.
Wait, forgive and forget, but the literal translation, what did you say the literal translation was?
Is let it flow in the water.
Interesting. So here they're gonna have you convinced that says forgive and forget. That is what it means, but that's not what it says.
Right. Well, it makes sense here. Here, this is how we test it, Jared. Watch. Fun little test for all you peeps out there.
Live.
We'll translate it, and then we'll be good to go. It should say, I'm curious to see now here, Jared, if it'll say, and here it should just auto.
There will,
pick it up. Yep. Okay, flush in the water.
That's even worse.
Flush. Or flow. Obviously if you're probably a native speaker of it. And here, can you hear it, Jared?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mizuni Nagasu. There we go.
See, now this is how us Americans or non-Japanese speakers are screwing ourselves over. This is why we can't just be getting tattoos in different languages and being like, this means forgive and forget. And it's like, well, technically it means flush and water, but
right.
But I guess
and
that
then you
means
end up
forgive and
somehow
forget.
getting chicken noodle soup tattooed on your arm in Chinese characters or in kanji, of course. I thought about getting a character tattoo when I was in China, but I think I only would have done it if I would have stayed there an entire year and learned more Chinese. Because I think it's only like if you can speak the language a little bit and you know some of it, I feel like that's more legit than like. And nothing against people who go to tattoo shops and get characters, but just be aware. Really make sure you know what they are.
Yeah.
Really make sure. Because if you just slightly mess it up, and now granted, if you live in the States and you get a tattoo like that, most people won't be able to read what it is anyways.
That was my, not problem, but that was my thing with the website you were showing me, is it had it say that it was forgive and forget, which is, which is what it means. And it's a fine thing to, want to have plastered in your home, I guess. But I feel like you should know
Live,
that
love, learn, Jared.
It means it's an untranslatable that literally it's saying flush in water. That is what you have hung up, and it doesn't say forgive and forget. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. My next untranslatable is Brazilian Portuguese, as you like to say. Brazilian Portuguese. Chupa essa manga.
Oh, that's shut your mouth, isn't it?
No.
No.
Chupa.
Okay.
Well, first of all, chupa essa manga. You should be able to translate pretty easily.
Well, it's what? No, what is it? Something
Chupa,
about it's something about a mango.
Yeah.
Right?
How do people eat mangoes?
They peel them? They bite them? I don't know how.
Yeah, they suck. They suck on them. Suck this
suck
mango. Chupa suck.
It's like F off, right?
I don't know.
No.
Well, that's not what it says here. But you're so confident. I feel like I'm wrong.
Well, it just kind of sounds, at least the way you said it, that's kind of how it sounded.
You're convincing me. I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. No. It's like suck this mango. Imagine this motion being done where you're like almost like a booyah, maybe I could say.
Is that okay?
No, that's not the translation though. That's like I'm trying to help you here.
Right.
It's like you would say that to like
Chupa esa manga.
Like, for example, our president for the next however many days said he's not going to the inauguration because he lost. But if he had won the election, he'd be on Twitter every day saying to Biden, "Chupa esa manga."
Like I told you so.
And more childish than that, even.
Like na boo boo.
I don't know. It's an untranslatable, I guess. In your face.
Oh yeah, okay.
In your face.
In your face. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like suck this mango. Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. That's great. That is hilarious. Suck this mango, bro. Okay. All right, that's pretty solid. My next one for you, Jared, is Japanese, and it is koketsu ni irazundba koji wo ezu, which means if you do not enter the tiger's cave, you will not catch its cub.
Oh, that's easy. Like, essentially, like, don't poke the bear, or it's like, if you mess with the bull, you'll get the horns kind of thing. Okay. That's what it seems like, right?
Nope. Is it easy to go into the tiger's den and catch the cub, you think?
No. Oh, it's doing a difficult task or like an impossible task.
I wouldn't say impossible, maybe, but now I don't know why you would want to catch an innocent little tiger baby. Maybe you're trying to sell it for profit. Maybe you want to create a real life Disney movie and raise a pet tiger. I don't know what you want to do.
Sell it to the Americans for their zoos.
Exactly.
For their Texas zoos.
But anyways, let's just say that this tiger cub does represent like a reward. So what do you think?
Oh, it's like doing a difficult task.
What do we call that?
Like
you hear bodybuilders say this a lot.
Personal,
or like an action hero in a movie might say it maybe.
Unstoppable. Booyah.
No.
Oh, no pain, no gain.
That's right, baby.
Yes.
No pain, no gain.
Yes.
Basically, yeah. This basically means, nothing. They say nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah. I think that is not translatable as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. That sounds like something I could hear my grandparents saying.
There you go. Makes sense, though. It's true.
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's true.
Of course. All right, I'll give you one. I have one more. It's Catalan as well, and it's figa flor.
Ooh,
Figa
what does that mean?
is a fig, I'd imagine. And it's bad fig.
Is that like a bad egg? Someone who's a bad influence?
Well, let me clarify a little bit more what a but no, that's not it. In the gardening world, a figa flor is a fig which grows on the previous year's shoot growth, and as a result doesn't usually ripen as well or taste as nice. That's what a figa flor it really is.
Does this refer to a person?
Yeah. A person is a figa flor.
Is it someone who's like kind of slow?
There you go.
Okay.
You are not a figa flor.
Woo, give me another ham horn for that one. Give me. Woo, that's right. All right. Let me give you another Japanese one. I really like this one. This is kind of a funny one. Let me see here. Saru moki kara ochiru. Saru moki kara ochiru. I hope I said that right. That felt good, Jared. It felt good. And it says, and this phrase is, even monkeys fall from trees.
Oh, even everyone fails in their life, you know. Everyone
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I'll give it to you. It would be like, when we usually begin recording our podcast and more times than not, I forget to record something or do something right when we start recording. So, we always have to restart. And Jared's very patient with me normally, and he could say, what, it's okay, Chad. Monkeys fall from trees. It's okay.
Okay. Everyone makes mistakes. Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Well, what's something, though, you don't want to make a mistake in, Jared? Is not knowing where you can and can't go with your passport.
That's interesting. Yeah. You know what I was going to say? What's not what I would have done, which is also not a good segue, but this is the route I would have gone. What's not a mistake is owning a passport is not a mistake.
Very true.
I'd say that. True. I mean, obviously you have to pay for it, but it's relatively cheap in the scheme of themes, and I'd say it's good to have.
Yeah.
You never know.
Fun fact for you, Jared. Up until World War I, they didn't have passports. So people were just running around with, I guess government-issued IDs from their home countries.
Oh, so you had essentially like a local ID that showed that you were from somewhere, but not some sort of universally accepted piece of identification technology. Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense, though, because, I imagine... probably even at that time, international travel was pretty much reserved for the rich, Yeah. It's still now expensive, but back then, first of all, they weren't flying internationally, I imagine, in the teens. And so you had to get on some ship. And so I feel like it was either something that rich people did,
ship trip as
exactly.
well.
It was either something that rich people did, or it was like a job. It wasn't really. I feel like the luxury of travel wasn't really there. Yeah, that too. That's a job though. The luxury of travel wasn't really there because it wasn't probably that luxurious. And so people would do it, but it would be like, oh, I spent a summer in Paris, because it took me 6 weeks to get there, so I spent 4 months there or whatever.
You couldn't hop on your Emirates jet and sleep in your first class bed while you play your PlayStation 5.
Take a shower, go to the bar upstairs.
Right, exactly.
Meet some...
It's really crazy though, Jared, the idea of passports in a way, because really, if you think about it, passports is a way that governments can control and restrict your travel and movement at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? So I find it really fascinating that, I guess that, you know, we're all okay with this. I mean, I really think it's a shame that passports can really limit where you go, and based on the government of whatever passport you have, it can also heavily influence, obviously, the other countries where you can go, how those other countries perceive you, when you as a private citizen might not have anything to do with, you know, your government, really.
Sure.
You know, and it's too bad.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the like for example, us in the United States not being able to go to Cuba, and then there was that. And it's all just because of politics, essentially, because then there was that short time where it became illegal, but then I think Trump reversed it because Obama made it legal. And so, like, it is just like these sort of arbitrary rules on why we can't go somewhere, like can and can't go somewhere, where it's like, listen, I'm not your enemy. But at the same time, I mean, logically speaking, I do understand why, some sort of track, like people would like to be able to keep track of who's coming in and out of their country, you know?
Right, and I think that's fair in itself.
Where it's like we need to have some control over who or some just awareness over who's here, because sometimes people don't leave or something like that, or they commit a crime or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I mean, I get it, but yeah, it is annoying, and some of the rules are certainly arbitrary or political rules that go back, like, you know, decades, and it's like,
right. Well, I've even had friends that have had, you know, passports, or not passports, but visas to certain places been denied, and then you just have to either reapply again, or you just can't travel there. Which
or
is,
if you're,
you know,
oh, go ahead.
Which is just too bad in terms of, if you think about like travel, tourism, like economy, you know, all that stuff. If you have more people traveling to places, you know, they're going to be spending money in your country. I would think you would want that, and that would be a good thing. And the only reason why, from my understanding, why her visa got denied was because when they asked her if she knew anything about like any historical buildings or places, and she didn't know the names of them in English, so she just said no, she was going there to do some sightseeing and see some friends. And apparently the fact that she said she didn't know any historical or like the names of any famous buildings, I guess they thought it was kind of sketchy. They didn't allow her the like 30-day travel visa.
I wouldn't get to travel anywhere.
right.
No, that's interesting. Oh, so they didn't believe, like, oh, you're saying you're going to see sites, but you can't name a site you're going to see. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, that is sort of stressful though. Like when you're filling out like those forms, and you're talking about like, well, what are your intentions here? And it's like, well, but granted, I say it is stressful, but I've never had like a problem with it where they're like, oh yeah, well, what are you going to? Well, I have actually when I came back from. When I came back from Czech Republic and Germany when I was visiting you, I went through London, and in Heathrow, I felt like a damn criminal. I had to go through multiple security, like multiple, and not just me specifically. Like this wasn't the quote unquote like, you know, where you're being randomly selected, but there were like two security outlets or checkpoints. And then they had like this one where it was just specifically they sort of asked you questions about like, actually I think they did that twice too, just like asked you questions about where you've been and where you're going, and like, oh, and then they did say like, oh, what'd you see? And I was like, like I was like stressing out trying to think of,
should have just pulled out your phone.
Yeah, no, I promise. Here, look, this is my friend peeing on a. No, I'm kidding. So
this is the bar. This is the beer place. This is the other beer place. This is the bar.
It was certainly a little stressful. I also remember there in like sort of. It's seemingly foolish restrictions. At least I remember this from a Top Gear episode. In certain countries, I don't remember the country this was specifically, but like you can't have the stamps of another country in your passport get into that country. They're like, no, we don't want people that are affiliating with that country at all.
Which is why you need 2 passports.
Yes, bro.
Gotta get 2 passports.
Yes,
It's the way to do it,
dude. The first time I really started hearing about that dual passport life was in Germany when I lived in Germany, because that was what you just sent me, by the way. I saw that, and we can certainly talk about that. But
We're going to. Yeah.
The first time that I learned about dual passports was in Germany, because I didn't really think that was a thing that you could do in the U.S. But it certainly is, and I was impressed. So, are you?
Yeah, I will in just a second. I do want to say this one last thing. I would absolutely love to somehow have an EU passport, because then you can get a job so much easier in Europe.
Yes.
I've seen so many like great job opportunities, and then it's like EU citizens only apply, and I'm just like, bummer.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's hard to apply for a job internationally in general. Yeah. Oh, but you just mean even like teacher related stuff?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of great teacher jobs and university jobs and study abroad jobs and a lot of different ones.
So are we about to talk about ways that you can get more than one passport?
We will, but before we get there, Jared, I do want to share my screen real quick and talk about this Passport Index, which is an awesome website. I feel like when you look down here, Jared, it looks almost like at the stock market.
They have like a live. It looks like a mix of the stock market and like
even like
FIFA
Center.
stats. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
But yeah, so anyways, this is passportindex.org, which shows you a lot of really interesting information about passports. So for example, we can go to rank and look at all sorts of different ones. So here, we'll look at just global.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, according to the passportindex.org, Germany is number 1.
So it's interesting because Germany is. No, I saw that on this as well, that Germany is number 1, but I've been seeing everywhere. Like if you just Google powerful passports, what you usually see come up as the most powerful passport. Do you know what the answer is?
Japan or Singapore?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think because the passport index is so up to date, that it's probably accounting for COVID and all that stuff, and I imagine that the restrictions on traveling to Japan and Singapore are more strict than Germany at this point, and so that's why countries like Germany, Sweden, Finland, and Spain that we see here, and some other ones that we'll talk about, have jumped up. Right. Because I imagine if COVID was not if COVID was not a thing, Japan and Singapore would be at the top.
Right. And the U.S. would also be a lot higher. And speaking of which, this is what I love about this website, Jared.
Because our Japan and Korea and Singapore, theirs are lower because they're not letting people in.
Right.
Ours is lower because no one wants us to come to.
Well, here, if you look here, all the red is COVID. You can't go, or visa required.
Right.
Visa required. The greens are fine.
And then the yellow means you can go, but you have to enroll somehow. So there's probably some sort of, you have to prove you're false or something.
A lot of the interesting thing though, Jared, is so Czech Republic, you can't go because of COVID. But then if I remember correctly, if I go down here to Slovenia or Slovakia, which are right next to the Czech Republic, you can travel there. Yeah. Slovenia.
Yeah, but there's nothing they can do about that. If people are going to be shady like you, then they're like, well,
whoa, hey there. I didn't say I'm going to do it.
But we just have to stop the majority that'll stop there and be like, all right, fine, I can't go.
I don't know why more countries. Well, I know why more countries don't do e-visa. E-visa. You just apply online. You submit all the materials online. You apply online. You probably get the visa online. And I would imagine you maybe even print it out.
You could probably print it out. But I imagine if it's a quote-unquote e-visa, they probably have a computer system where they can pull up your name at the airport or whatever.
Exactly.
There's a lot of COVID bans. A lot.
Yep.
So Germany is So Germany is currently the strongest passport out there.
Yep, 134.
And we have 95 reds, which means you either can't go or essentially
it's
means
visa, COVID. I think the reds are visa required or COVID. And give me another country, Jared.
Let's do Canada.
Oh, Canada.
This is
that's
also
Cambodia. Sorry, my bad.
This is also that's a very weak passport, Cambodia's passport. This is also a very slick website. Like it is the operations in the depth of it is very smooth, and the abilities.
Right. I'm going to be honest. I would have thought Canada would have more than 108.
Canada's similar to us. We're about the same score as Canada. Canada has 5 more countries that they can freely go to right now than we do.
Now, what's interesting though is here. Let's change Cambodia for China. Here, where is it?
In the middle.
Thank you. Oh wow, significantly lower. 61. Interesting. Okay. 137 in the red. Just because visa, a lot of them are probably pre-visa, e-visa. I remember talking to a lot of my friends in China. A lot of them were pre-visa or
I think
COVID.
visa required still means that you can't go though if it's red, because there are some with visas.
No, all the ones that have visa required are red.
Okay, so you can go. You just have to go through the whole go through the consulate
process.
So I imagine those. But like for example, look, this e-visa right here in the middle for China is red. Mm-hmm. So I imagine what they're saying is the way you get it is online, but it's still unlikely that you're gonna get it. I believe is what the red is saying.
Right.
Because we saw in some other countries there were green in e-visa or blue in e-visa, which I imagine means it's pretty easy to actually get it. So I think red, where it says visa required and it's red, it still means that it's probably really hard to get that visa.
Could be. Yeah, could be. I think it's interesting if you look at these though and just the distribution, and a lot of countries have I'm surprised that the US and Russia has actually a lot of similar countries. It's kind of interesting to look at the way this compares across the board. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fascinating. But it really seems like, I'm
going to stick with my theory, because if you look at the scorings, the ones with more reds have a weaker passport. So I think red means you need a visa, but you can't go. So yeah, red essentially means you can't go. That's what I'm going to say.
All right, now let's compare some passport destinations. Any places, Jared, you'd like to go in the future once it's safer?
Yeah, Italy. I almost went there. And while we're at it, I'd also be interested in going to South Africa.
Okay.
South Africa.
Which flag is that one? I'm trying to... There we are.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's take a look.
And let's also add in Australia, because they've been pretty strict recently, and they've had
their... mate. All right.
They've had their COVID pretty under control because of how strict they've been.
Oh,
you can't go...
Wait, what?
No one can go to Australia.
Yep.
There are 0 available countries for Australia.
0. 41.
Wow, you almost can't go to Austria either.
Right.
I mean, you really can't go to Australia, but Austria, you can essentially... I love how Australia is one of the countries that Austria will allow in, which kind of makes sense. They're like, all right, Australia is not allowing anyone in, so I guess you guys can come here.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how strict Austria is. That's a pretty weak passport right there.
Let's see. I bet you we have like 80 bajillion countries allowing us. Oh, only 12.
Wow.
Really? Australia. Bahamas.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Bahamas.
And so does that mean people from the Bahamas can come to the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that what sort of association does the Bahamas have with the
We're
U.S.?
Clearly homies. Japan.
But now, and to be clear though, the ones you're saying are you're confusing. You can't just say yellows and greens like they're the same thing. Yellow means that there's it's a slightly higher chance than a red that you can go. Green means you're free to travel to these places.
Yep. Exactly. So, only 12. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I am surprised. Let's see. Just now, I'm curious. Let's see. Let's change this one for China.
I'm sure theirs is probably low.
20.
Slightly better than the U.S., but barely.
Okay. Let's see here. United Arab Emirates, maybe?
I think they're pretty...
Oh, wow. 76.
Yeah.
So South Africa and UAE so far have the highest right now of countries
What would
that are
you
allowed
think-
to go visit.
Yeah, is there a way where we could see who has the highest score of countries you can visit? Because I want to guess. Before you figure it out, though, can we guess?
It's probably charts, maybe.
I'm
I'm not sure. We can. I would. Yeah, I have no idea.
gonna
Honestly,
say-
Jared, which country would let the most people
I'm just gonna
in.
guess and say Brazil.
Oh, okay.
That's the random
All right.
guess. I have no idea why.
I would guess and say. Oh, I have no idea. I really have no idea. I'll say Japan for some reason. I don't know why.
That's
Let's see
certainly not
charts.
going to be Japan. Wait, it's not. Wouldn't it be past? If there's no way to rank it, this chart is.
all over the place.
There's a lot going on in this chart.
Okay, that's not what we
Okay.
want.
All right. This is
I don't think
also
so.
this is primarily a audio podcast, and we've gotten lost in this website.
We've gotten very visual.
Let's-
So here, let me stop my share.
Let's
And,
chat.
yeah, let's
Chad.
Let's do it. I think the crazy thing though about passports is just the process you need to go get it, and also like we've talked about, some of the countries it can be a lot more difficult to get in depending on your passport. So one way to avoid that, Jared, is you could look into getting another passport potentially.
That'll really up your passport power.
I feel like that's a huge flex too. If you got the double passports, you're good to
Now,
go, my man.
I can think of one way off the top of my head that I know you can get, and I'm sure you have ways that I cannot think of, but I have a way that I can just think of up the top of my head. I know in certain countries, for example, like Ireland is an example I know of. If you have relatives, or excuse me, like your what do you call the relatives older than you? Ancestry, like within like a couple generations from Ireland, then you are eligible for dual citizenship in Ireland. Like it's not even that hard. Like if you have a grandparents essentially that are Irish, then you can, but you grew up in America, or like great grandparents, I think even, then
Right.
you can get a Irish passport. And
So
why
there's a
not?
few-
If you can, why would you not do that? It's like,
Right.
for example, because then my first example would be, all right, I'm an American, and could you do the move? Now, I don't know how. Do you know how two passports work? If I were to be traveling to Europe, for example, let's say I'm traveling to an EU country. Ireland is an EU country, and so
Is it? I thought it's not now because of Brexit.
Isn't that just England that was involved in Brexit?
Is it? Or is it
I don't
all
think
of the UK?
I don't think Ireland is involved in Brexit.
I'll Google it.
Because Ireland uses like euros too. See, now I lost Chad.
Yep. Yeah, they're in the EU still. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So
continue.
say I'm traveling to Ireland, which is in the EU, as I said. Chad doubted me, but I was right. And I'm getting out my I have my euros and my pet ready for my trip to Ireland. And I at the airport here in the U.S., I show my American passport so I can go through the the U.S. citizen line, which is usually the more hassle-free one. And then when I get to Europe, I go to the. Can I then go through the EU only line?
Yep.
And quickly go through with my your Irish passport.
Exactly.
See-
That's the plan. Yep. Like I have a buddy from
That
Chile.
seems shady though, because I feel like the point of them is the passport is for them to be able to like track you, but there's no history of you entering unless your passports are connected somehow. I don't know, and they could see like
Yeah,
in the
I
computer
don't-
system
I
this person
couldn't
has
tell
two
you how that
passports.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't
don't
tell
know.
you how that works. But you
said you had a friend from Chile?
Yeah. I have a friend from Chile who has a German passport, a French passport, and a Chilean passport, all because of ancestry.
That's wild.
So if he wanted, he could go to France or Germany and work no problem. And really anywhere
I
else
didn't
in
even
the
think
EU.
about working. I just thought about
Yeah.
cutting lines in an airport.
No, working, my man. Working is a
Oh
big
my
one.
gosh.
Investing in property is a big one. Maybe even voting. Maybe. I'm not sure, 100% sure on that one.
yeah.
But anyways, there are a couple other ways. So so ancestry is one. Another one is to just live in that country long enough to become naturalized, which is not the fastest or easiest way to do it.
Right, because then you still need to like have a job that kind of has to financially support you a little bit.
And most places, it's like anywhere from 5 to 15 years, depending on the place. There are like fast track types of citizenship, but usually this is more for like elite athletes and like stuff like that. So like your common person is probably not going to be eligible for those types of like sped up processes. The fourth way though, Jared, is, and the more practical, if you got some serious bankrolls, would be to get citizenship or get a passport through investment, is what it's called. So there are different countries where you can invest a certain amount of money in either real estate or in like this type of fund they have or whatever. And then and different countries have different time frames, but then you will get a passport for that country, and then you can also live in that country, obviously, like a normal citizen.
Showing your commitment to the country through big financial investments.
Yeah, a huge.
Do you
one.
have a list of those countries? Because
I do, but before I talk about them, do you have a guess on how much you think people? Okay.
Oh, how much? Okay. Well, before you kind of gave it away when you talked about Cyprus. So I know
that one is, I would actually say, kind of an anomaly.
That's the higher end.
Yeah,
interesting. That seemed like interesting. I'd expect that to be the going rate. So we know that Cyprus allows this, and it's $2 million. That's the higher end. Okay, that's a good starting line. So I'd imagine. I want to guess that Monaco also does this. Does Monaco allow this?
Well, they might, but the list I have are supposed to be ones that are require the lowest actually amount of investment.
Interesting.
So I couldn't. Yeah.
So the lowest I imagine would be $100,000.
Very good, Jared. Very good.
Wow. Okay.
Any idea what countries might allow that?
$100,000.
I'll give you a clue, my man. They be on an island somewhere.
Okay, Jamaica.
That's my terrible attempt. No, that's just supposed to be an islander accent, not even just Jamaican.
Okay.
But maybe that was more of a Jamaican accent.
I mean, I don't know.
They're
Barbados.
I believe Barbados is in this list. Let me see here. 1 second. A lot of them are islands, actually.
Oh, so a lot of islands allow this, like some of those Saint Islands, Saint Martin, Saint Thomas, one of those.
Saint Kitts and Nevis, but they have $150,000 minimum.
That's not that
investment.
bad. I mean, now obviously that's a lot of money. I say that it's not like I have $100,000 laying around,
right.
But like that is not as like that is if you want to make that a goal, that is I feel like attainable goal over like however long in your lifetime to save up $100,000.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could do it depending on your job in 10 years.
Sure.
10 or 15 years.
But like if you even want to like make it part of like your retirement plan, where it's like I'm going to have a retirement fund, but also part of that is that I have the $100,000 that it takes to just get me to go straight to some lovely island somewhere.
And some people do it, Jared, to avoid some taxes. So you can also do that too.
So I imagine
open up bank accounts.
I imagine another country on that list might. Speaking of avoiding taxes, Costa Rica. Is that on the list?
That one is not on this list.
Because I know a lot of rich people go to Costa Rica.
Right.
That's the only reason I brought that one up.
So let me read through this list for you. So Antigua and Barbuda is $100,000 minimum investment. There are 3 different avenues for securing citizenship in Antigua and Barbuda: a direct minimum $100,000 contribution to the National Development Fund, or you can purchase the purchase of approved real estate with a minimum value of $400,000. So there, you could even purchase real estate where you might make money, get your money back. It's not like you're not just
paying them like cash,
right?
A payment. Well, that's
exactly.
great. Where it's like, I mean, like you could make money off of quote unquote, and because you are investing you're literally they call it an investment because that's what you're doing. Or So
Here's
I could see
another
that.
one for you, Jared, in case you got a cool 1.5 milli sitting around and it's burning a hole in your pocket. You can also purchase an eligible business for a minimum amount of 1.5 milli. So you know that hot dog guy with that hot dog stand down the street, you purchase his hot dog stand from him for 1.5 milli, and you hire him as your employee. And there you go. You can have your citizenship in Antigua and Barbuda, Jared.
So-
easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Can I just give you one real quick? I looked up Monaco. You know how much the cheap ones are going for. Monaco, as
Okay.
you know, is a very fancy rich person island. Where do
10
you,
million.
No, you said no. You're right, by the way. Cyprus is an anomaly.
Okay.
But where do you think Monaco lies on this list?
So it's not 10 million.
No, because as you said, Cyprus is an anomaly. So what I'm saying is, it's probably not going to be more.
Okay.
Than Cyprus.
Really? Then Monaco is just $1 million.
It is $1 million, but the thing about it is $500,000 of that has to be kept in a bank account. So half of that has to be just cash, like that cash money, baby.
Cash.
And then the other half, I imagine you can invest in property or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but $1 million at the end of the day. So maybe though. Oh yeah, no, never mind though. But if you have enough,
you could get yourself 10 passports for the price of one in Monaco if you went to a couple of these different
do you
ones
think
with
they allow that?
100,000.
They'll just allow you to keep getting like you could just invest in multiple. Like say you do that, you buy a property on 4 different islands. Could you just walk around with 5 passports, including whatever country you're originally from?
Why not? Is there a
guess
law that
so.
says you're not allowed to do that?
For some reason, I feel like maybe once again I'm just jaded by the Bourne
Jason
series.
Bourne could do it, Jared. He did it.
Yeah. Did he just buy these? No, that was way less cool. I imagine he spent
Well, probably the CIA or whoever he was working for bought them.
That's how we
But
got them,
somebody
was-
bought them. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never
You
really
got to
fully
pay
thought
for it
of how.
somewhere, Jared.
For some reason, I thought he made them or something.
Or they could have been falsified or counterfeit. Sure,
Right.
That's another option.
I wonder
so
if you
let's
could do
go
that
through
though,
a
'cause you
couple
have to,
other
swipe
places.
them. Okay, yeah,
Well, if you make it counterfeit properly, it should.
some
should
other
do that.
places.
Other places, Dominica, which is a Caribbean island, also $100,000 minimum investment. So there are 2 different ways here for securing citizenship in Dominica. A direct minimum $100,000 contribution to the country's economic diversification fund. So that sounds kind of like stocks, but I could be wrong about that. The purchase of approved real estate with a minimum value of $200,000. And I mean, for some people,
200,000 in Dominica probably goes a long way for a home.
I would imagine you're probably living in some type of nice mansion by the seaside. Exactly. So that's Dominica. Another one, St. Lucia, 100,000 minimum investment. So here there are 4 different ways, Jared. A deposit to the National Economic Fund, a purchase of approved real estate with the minimum value of 300,000, a 5-year minimum $500,000 investment in non-interest bearing government bonds, or a minimum $3.5 million investment in an improved enterprise project that creates a minimum of 3 permanent jobs. So you could open up 3 hot dog stands at this place, or 3.
That's hilarious.
3 smoothie stands, I guess, since we're on an island here. It's nice and warm. Or 3
Now, I wonder-
water stands.
Now
Yeah.
you have these ridiculous jobs that you're bringing up. But
Right.
I wonder if employing 3 people could mean like this is my this is the nanny for the kids. This is like my personal assistant,
My
'cause
personal trainer and my pool boy.
Yeah, or this is like yeah. Like does that count as or I wonder, or is it like no, you actually need to like be creating jobs, or
Probably
like
legit.
I mean like
Well, that
creating
is a legit
income.
job.
Like,
If
it is
they're-
creating jobs, but you need to be like creating money from a
If
business.
Right.
Like I
Yeah,
am a
yeah.
businessman.
That's
I'm not
right.
a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Exactly.
You know who said that?
No, who said that?
I think it's Jay-Z.
There we go. Now, Jared, if you're not feeling the islands right now, another place you could go is you could go to Moldova, which is in Eastern Europe.
Yes.
And they have a direct minimum payment of £100,000, which is actually around 117,000
British pounds?
US dollars. That's right, Mike.
Okay.
And once again, that would be a contribution to the public investment fund over there.
That's
and
not
so that
bad,
is how
bro.
you do it.
This is really
Eye-opening episode for you, huh?
And the thing is, like, you don't even have to theoretically. Now, you should have a nest egg. Let's be clear. You shouldn't. But like, you could do that and then get a job. Like, you don't like. It doesn't have to be some sort of ridiculous situation where you're just like you buy your way in and just like, are some ridiculous rich person. You could be like a. Just someone that saved $100,000, and then it's like, all right, and now I have the college education to go get some office job and continue and just live your life in Moldova
on
normally.
an island, right? Or in Moldova, right?
Yeah, or in
another
Moldova.
place. Another place. If you got a little bit more money to burn than 100,000, here it's 900,000 minimum investment for Malta. So if you want to go to Malta, 900,000. There's a couple different ways you can secure citizenship in Malta, and there are three financial. There's only one way to secure citizenship in Malta, and it includes three financial requirements. Number one, a direct deposit of 650,000 British pounds or 765,000 US dollars to the development of Malta. It's like a fund, I guess. A property rental that amounts to 16,000 pounds or 18,000 US dollars per year, or the purchase of real estate with a minimum value of 350,000 British pounds or 412,000 US dollars, and then also a minimum investment of $150,000 pounds or 176,000 US dollars in government bonds. So that's quite a lot, I would say, Jared.
Malta's isn't that like a fancy island though?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive to live there. Now, Turkey, if you do want to go somewhere that's also kind of beautiful, weather-wise and stuff, Turkey, their minimum investment is $250,000. And there are actually multiple avenues, Jared, for securing citizenship in Turkey. Number one, you could purchase real estate with a minimum value of $250,000. You could deposit a minimum of $500,000 into a Turkish bank account. So you know what, Jared? Maybe you wake up one day and you got $600,000 in your bank account, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to deposit $500,000, go to Turkey, and become a Turkish citizen. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
A minimum of $5,000 investment in government bonds, or a lot of this here is like half a milli, basically. They want, give me half a milli, and you're good to go in Turkey a few different ways. Also, $500,000 contribution to real estate investment fund or a venture capital investment fund share.
Okay. You don't have to go into the nitty gritty. It's essentially just various forms of investment at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, all these is just pour lots of money.
It's not even just like paying your way in. It's like, we need to know that you're like invested in this,
which is smart though, honestly, because it kind of makes sense, and I think it literally gives someone an investment in the country.
Sure,
you know what I mean? It's
and it's sort of a way to guarantee that they're like contributing to the economy, to the economy somehow. So yeah, it makes sense. I get it, and it's also probably a great way to just make money too for a country.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, we talked about all these powerful passport countries. Germany was one that I remember. This is number one, actually.
Right. Japan,
let's
Singapore.
talk. Oh, yeah, right. Let's talk about the damage that COVID has done to the American passport, Chad. And
I mean, it's basically completely changed the face of travel for last year and for this year. Well, I'm curious to see how much longer these travel bans will be instated. I have a feeling it's going to be until we get our shit together in the U.S., which might be a long time from now.
I'm sure Ku Klux Klans doesn't help.
They don't help, Jared.
That's right. A tough. Ku Klux Klans don't help. That's for sure. But yeah, no, it's
the Putsch pals are not doing us any favors.
Here's another prediction. I predict that in the near term, the short future term, there's going to be some sort of wider spread, like COVID vaccine or COVID negative test requirement upon entering a country. And so I imagine that there's going to be some sort of maybe sticker or something you can put in your passport, or something like that, saying that that you've been cleared. And I think that in spite of that, it's still going to be difficult for us Americans to travel around a lot because of, and I think that in the future, people aren't like, if there's more pandemics to come, which it seems like there are, people are not going to forget, you know?
Right. Oh, for sure. Well, here, I just Googled this, Jared, because I was curious. When will international travel return? A country by country guide to coronavirus recovery. This is by a gentleman named Clint Henderson, and this is from the pointsguy.com. So coronavirus has frozen in place for the most part and dreaming of when we can start booking travel again. In the meantime, we've been doing a lot of stories about what those dream trips look like. As countries slowly start reopening their borders to travelers after months of lockdowns due to COVID-19, the Points Guy is here to guide you through the latest in the ever-changing rules and regulations. All right, so North America, U.S. U.S. remains the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak, unfortunately, yes. U.S. has more cases. That's right. Make America great again. We're number one. Most COVID cases in the world. Okay. Anyways, yes, there's no countrywide testing mandate for entry, which is stupid. We should be having these kinds of things. CDC began requiring that all air passengers from the UK test negative with a COVID-19 PCR or antigen test taking within 72 hours of departure. Okay, so that's the U.S. Basically, it seems like some places can still travel here. UK, you need a test. Canada, Canadian government says that the border will likely remain closed until COVID-19 cases stop climbing in the U.S., which could be a while. Mexico began slow regional opening on June 29th, and many COVID restrictions have been lifted. Puerto Rico, we won't go through all these, but so it looks like, though, a lot of the U.S. ones and U.S.-related ones are open, Jared, to travel, whereas as we saw with the other website, it seems like obviously a lot of the European countries are not open right now. Now, who knows how long that will be? Like we said, I think it might really depend on how long it takes for us to get a handle of things here in the U.S.
Sure.
And hopefully, with the new administration coming in, that we will maybe get a better handle on things, but we'll see. We'll have to see. No guarantees for anything, you know.
Yeah. Let's talk about the song of the pod.
Let's do it. What's the title of our song of the pod today, Jared?
No, I'm just kidding. It's Passports or Passport. Actually, no, I didn't.
Passaporte.
It's Passport, not Passports.
Reisepass.
By
Passport.
Song of the pod, friend of the pod. He's not unfamiliar to our Song of the Pod segment. Masigo. Yep. Very fitting. And it's essentially about Masigo traveling the world and speaking random languages and talking about how he needs his passport. And it makes Chad want to point his fingers.
That's right. Do the little passport dance, you know. It's a cool song because it has this kind of slow, kind of jazzy trap beat, and the song starts off with this I think this woman in the background saying, well, you can say yo tengo mi pasaporte, which is Spanish for I have my passport, and then another voice says in French, or you can say j'ai un pas. Is that right, Jared? Is that how you say that?
I think so.
I'm not. Jared's our French expert here.
No, oh my gosh.
Any French listeners right now are probably scoffing when they've heard either Jared or myself try to pronounce things in French. But anyways, but this song has just such a cool vibe to it, and it has these like kind of Asian style strings going on in the background. Jared, did you pick that up when you were listening to it?
I don't think I did. I'm gonna have to give it a closer listen.
Yeah, but it has this slow kind of beat to it. And you're right, the whole song, the premise is obviously to get your passport and go do some traveling, go do some exploring, which I think is definitely something a lot of us have been yearning for quite some time now. I'm really hoping, Jared, this coming summer I'll be able to do a Euro trip. But we'll have to see. Who knows? What's your prediction, Jared? You've done some predictions already. Do you think it's not going to happen? Not going to happen?
Do you feel comfortable, not this year, you'd feel comfortable flying to Europe and just
July?
vacationing? Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Depends.
They don't want
the
your
situation.
disgusting American COVID mouth.
So it's all right, Jared. I've been saving up to obviously buy a Malta passport, and then I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
I'll be an EU citizen.
Yeah, I'm
problem
moving
solved.
out. Yeah,
That's right.
Homeless
That's
in
right.
Malta. I spent all my money on the passport.
Right. Exactly.
No, I don't think it's happening this year either.
Okay.
I think. Well, I don't know. I think 2022 is when you should think about traveling outside of the country, even to
Okay.
Canada for that matter.
All right. All righty. Okay. Fair enough.
I do miss Canada because there's one of our favorite Italian restaurants is right across the border
Ooh.
in Ontario, and we can't
Nice.
go.
Nice. But this
Not
song
nice.
is definitely a jammer here, Jared. It's a slow one, but I think it has like a pretty cool beat to it, and
It's
definitely.
I wouldn't really
Yeah.
call it a slow one. It's interesting that you say that. I mean, it's not like a banger, but I certainly I don't know if I'd call it like slow, but maybe that's just me. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just found it
good.
interesting that you thought that.
I
'cause
guess
never
maybe
thought
it's
that.
mid tempo.
Yeah, like it's
the
a groove.
beat itself is
It's a
little
groove.
bit
Like it's a
slower.
groove. But okay, I gotcha.
And Masego is actually an American. I think also has Jamaican
I think so.
descent. And it's a great song. Kind of talks about like turning off his phone when he gets somewhere new, which I think is always good. Kind of, we've talked about maps off a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you can really kind of be in the moment wherever you may be traveling.
Also, it's
and,
expensive. Maybe he just didn't get the $10, European plan while you're there in Europe, and he's like, wow, my phone's been roaming for 20 minutes, and I already owe the phone company $1,000.
Right. What I like about this song, though, Jared, is that the lyrics are not like. This song isn't like flexing or about like bragging. Even one of the lines in the song, Jared, he says, so I saved up to change my life, which I'm assuming he means, he was stacking that paper, saving his money. Because let's be honest, traveling isn't cheap, and it's certainly not free.
Yeah, it's
that's for
certainly
sure.
not like the hose in different area codes vibe. It's
Right.
more like he's more like, no, travel is important.
Right. And he's got his passport, and he's been searching, he's been working. That's what he says.
Yeah.
And I just like the kind of different vibes to it. He sings in Japanese for a little bit, which is pretty interesting to hear as well. It sounds cool, like a nice flow to it. It's a good song. So
Yep, good
check
choice,
it out.
Chad.
Thank you. Check it out on our Song of the Pod playlist,
betcha.
which I'm dropping it right there now. Check it out. It's definitely a good one. Passport by Masego. You won't be disappointed. All right, Jared. So to recap today's episode, I think some of the countries with the strongest passports, obviously Germany is a big one. Japan is definitely another big one. Singapore for the last couple of years has also been pretty high up there. The U.S. also, Jared, used to be pretty high up. COVID has definitely changed things quite a bit.
By the
same
way,
with
Sweden
the UK.
and Finland and Spain are high up there too. Those are right below Germany. A lot of the EU countries right now are topping the list.
Right. But what's so fascinating to me about passports in general, Jared, is depending on the country where you're from and that country's relationship with other governments in other countries will vastly influence the type of
Interesting.
passport. So, for example,
Do you think that's why that's what will benefit the EU countries so much, and why theirs can stay relatively stronger? Because the EU has a relationship where they're probably not going to stop you from going to other EU countries.
right, correct. Yes,
interesting.
Big time. Like, I remember friends from China and some of the people I met from some Eastern European countries, or even like former, USSR countries that had to get visas to even go to some places in the EU. Like, I remember a friend of mine, he told me, I can't even go to France without a visa. I have to get a visa. and I forget where they were from now, but I think maybe Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. So a lot of those countries in kind of Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, depending on where you're from, it really will influence the type of, can you just arrive without a visa, get what they call a visa on arrival. I will say generally, like COVID aside, in normal circumstances, we are very lucky, very privileged here. There are a lot of countries we can go to for at least a month, if not 90 days, which is really great. I mean, for travel purposes, really, unless you're retired, I would say 90 days is more than enough time to really enjoy a place
for sure.
and have a good time there. So,
for sure.
So let us know, though, what places you visited with your passport power at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can slide into our DMs on Twitter, untranslatable1, the number one, where we also tweet out our episodes and other cool stuff as well. And please check us out on Instagram. You can see clips, pics, all sorts of good stuff there, Untranslatable Podcasts. And of course, let us know how we can make this podcast better for you, especially with 5-star reviews on iTunes or Stitcher. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and do svidania. Your boy's been cooking in the GarageBand kitchen, working on some new tunes.
Oh yeah.
So,
what kind of tunes?
A couple just kind of chord jams, a couple little riffs that we might be able to even toss in the podcast at some point.
Okay.
Got to polish them up a little bit, smooth out all the rough edges,
Sure, I understand.
That's right. That's right. Oh, man. Crazy stuff. The weekend's almost over, Jared.
I know.
I'll tell you what, though. It was a great surprise this morning.